Hello, welcome in, cadets. You've got the Fantasy Football Academy here. You've got John, my boy. I'm Johnny, and my main man Blake, and we're coming at you with our week 2 sleepers. People that you should be looking at if you're scraping the waiver wire, if you have injuries you're dealing with on your team. So let's talk who you should be starting this week that you maybe aren't thinking about. Blake, do you want to lead us off with your sleeper of the week?
Yeah, there can be a case to be made. Last week, my guy was Josh Reynolds, and he paid off for you. I think that a case could be made to roll that dice again. Nice matchup against Seattle, but I'm gonna switch it up a little bit and go Nico Collins this week. Noah Brown going down adds some extra opportunity for all of the receivers. I think Nico is probably going to be the biggest one to benefit from that. He had 11 targets last week in that offense. He caught 6 of them. I think his efficiency will go up. He's a talented player, 6'4", 215, ran a 4.45. The guy plays outside, and that's kind of my biggest selling point this week against the Colts defense that got absolutely eaten up in the air last week against the Jags, and it was only on the outside. They have Kenny Moore in the slot, who locked down Christian Kirk, and I expect him to lock down Bobby Trees this week. Nico on the outside, I like him to get 10 or so targets, catch a couple of deep balls, and maybe get in the end zone.
I like it. And I like that you mentioned your victory with Josh Reynolds, picking him last week as a sleeper. And you can certainly double dip if you want to and pick him twice.
I'm starting him in one league because I still have Christian Watson out, so I'm a man of my word. I have Josh Reynolds in my second flex spot in one league. But if I had Nico Collins, I would go Nico over Josh Reynolds for the record.
Well, I guess I'm just saying sometimes I wouldn't be okay with you picking a sleeper 2 weeks in a row because I'm like, we're on to him. He's no longer a sleeper. Josh Reynolds might be a sleeper the entire freaking year. So, anyways, we'll keep it moving. John, do you want to give us your week 2 sleeper?
Yeah, let's jump into it. I got Zach Moss at Houston. Houston is absolutely miserable against the run in 2022. They started the season in 2023 just as miserable. They gave up 3 touchdowns in week 1. And in 22, they were giving up 28 fantasy points per game to the running back position, so that was worst in the league. Zach Moss is a full participant today. He's practicing on Wednesday, so he looks like he's going to be a full go come game time. And Deion Jackson didn't look good as well. He fumbled twice. He had like 13 yards on 5 catches, 13 carries on 14 yards. It was absolutely miserable for him. So I expect Zach Moss to get the majority of the workload, sneak into the end zone, and pay off for you fantasy-wise.
Yeah, personally, I actually don't really love the take. Do you want me to just hop on this real quick, Johnny?
Yeah, I love it.
I'll go ahead.
I could probably double down on that. So
yeah, I think the point about the Texans being bad against the run last year absolutely valid, and I think the
100%.
fact that they gave up 3 touchdowns in week 1 is something that you like. But 2 of those touchdowns, Justice Hill just sort of fell into the end zone from the 1 yard line.
That's all it takes.
Look at their yards. If you look at yards per carry, though, I think Justice Hill had his own Deion Jackson type performance with like 12 carries for 13 yards. Gus Edwards didn't look much better. I know they spent a ton of money on their D line and their linebacking core in free agency. The Texans did, so I actually expect them to be better against the run this year. I have no faith really in Zach Moss's ability as a rusher, to be honest with you, and so I don't really love him this week. But these are deep sleepers, so if you're in a position where you have some injuries at running back, especially, I think he's going to see some volume, so you like that definitely.
Yeah, this is week 1. People are hurt, and Zach Moss, it only takes 1 fall into the end zone for him to pay off you in week 2. So that's what I'm banking on.
Yeah, but the last thing I'll say, we'll move on. Anthony Richardson could very well be that guy to fall into the end zone. And
sure.
That's rough, right? When you've got those very mobile quarterbacks. So for me, my week 2 sleeper will be, Blake has been crapping on everyone's sleepers this week. I got Bobby Trees, baby, Robert Woods. And you know what? I hope he goes absolutely berserk and catches 20 targets for 100,000 yards. I hope so. But no, in all honesty, he got 10 targets last week. He seems to be the veteran comfort food for CJ Stroud. He actually had more snaps even than Nico Collins. He does play a lot in the slot, which to Blake's point, good player there. Probably the only good player they have in their secondary with Kenny Moore. But I do think they play a lot of zone, and that he will find those gaps. That's what veterans do. And, this is a deep sleeper, right? Like Nico might have been picked up in your league. He might have been drafted. But if not, I think Blake and I both agree that Colts D is porous through the air. At least it was in week 1 against the Jags. And if Nico's not out there, then go for Bobby Trees.
Yeah, Nico owned in about 50% of leagues, so Bobby Trees would be a nice concession. He had 3 more snaps than Nico last week, 1 more route ran, so not a huge disparity there. I think both of the guys are going to run their fair share of routes. I just like Nico on the outside a little bit more. But if you can't get him off waivers, then I think Bobby Trees can win enough in the slot against Kenny Moore to get a couple of catches and hopefully get you 10, 15 points.
Yeah, I mean, if he's getting 10 targets, you got to follow the targets sometimes, right? Especially in a deep flex league or a deep sleeper scenario. So anyways, thank you for watching. We are going to track these sleepers all year long and see which picks hit and which don't. We cover that every week in our weekly starts and sits videos. So make sure you're watching those as well. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment with any questions you have. We love tackling those. And thanks for watching.
Take it easy, guys.